Hello all, A Knife Tale here, bringing you a knife summary of a knife I have done a review on. I do hope you're having a good day, and if you want to see the full review, it will be linked in the description. This is the Begg Knives Diamici. I almost said Astio, but it's definitely not the Astio. I have an Astio, a custom Astio. It's definitely not this knife. This is the Diamici. It is a joint collaboration with JVO Design. That is another custom maker. Well, Begg Knives, technically, this is not Todd Begg Custom, so I don't know if you can consider them custom knife makers in the same sense. But JVO does do customs. So what are we looking at real quick? We're looking at a pretty small knife overall. A little over 7 inches. About 3 inches of blade length. Technically, if you go to the very tip of this scale here, you're actually slightly under 3 inches of blade length. And so basically 2.9-ish inches of cutting edge too. And blade length, realistically, if you want to be generous. If you're not being generous, then it's slightly over 3 inches. This is a flipper only, stainless steel scaled knife on bearings with, in this case, G10 inlays. There are a few variants of this knife. Stainless steel pocket clip with the Begg ball. I'd think it could use a little bit more flex, but it still does work reasonably well. You've got a pivot collar on, I don't know if that's titanium or stainless steel, probably, I don't know what that is, but it is what it is, it's there. And you've got an inset liner lock. So, just a quick look at this thing. Yes, this one is in I think this is technically would be I think it's a VG10 core, and that would be something close to a Sanmai, though technically there's too many layers there, but something approaching the idea of a Sanmai. Damascus, but again, VG10 core, and you're clearly getting primarily VG10 on the actual edge there. It looks quite good. I do wish they didn't have the logo here down on the bevel. Just, I mean, you were able to stick JVO up there and make it real small. Just do the same with the Begg knives. And also just your logo, B. That would be perfectly fine. That does detract from it a little bit. I think that would make for an overall cleaner looking knife, but is what it is, right? Rarely do these companies listen when it comes to billboarding and branding. The stop pin is internally mounted. It is not attached to the blade, but it is sticking down in there, and the blade runs through the blade on a channel. So that's nice. Solid, and it means you can get to the plunge grind without an issue. And the plunge grind on this gives you a bit of life. It comes almost to the edge of the blade termination, but it gives you a little bit of height too. So you're probably doing pretty decent for overall lifespan here. In fact, it kind of meets up with the flow of on this particular pattern, it meets up with the flow of the Damascus. It is on bearings. It is a bit of a tight knife, but it's extremely smooth. Like it's a tight sort of knife that I tend to just do this with. It's almost sort of a slightly taller than average gentleman style kind of executive knife, really. The lock bar is jimped, which I don't typically love, but it's not offensive here. It's rounded off enough, and it does provide just enough to get decent disengagement from pretty much the side, almost the side. But typically I don't like jimp lock bars just because they create typically apex points, hotspots. This one's not too bad, and for the most part I do it like this, so I'm not going to complain too hard there. The tolerances and precision is quite good here. Is it still centered? Yes, it is. Should be. Yes, it is. It's centered. There's no play. The inlays, you can feel them, sure. This is not a budget knife, but it's more towards the end of the budget knives. Then, like, it is premium, I should say. That's what I'm trying to say. Ooh, just mind blanked there. There's some good jimping on the flipper tab. There's no jimping on the spine, but this small knife, you don't need it. You can get a full-size grip. You definitely feel the clip in your hand. It's not uncomfortable in my hand at all, but it is there. It very slightly. But that's only if you're in this like one position, which you only really have one position due to the length of this knife. But if you try to adjust, yeah, you can sort of feel the clip. It's not bad. It's pretty well done. It's not deep carry. It's on kind of an angle, which typically results in it carrying almost shallow carry. But if you do want to angle it, you can kind of get it more closer to deep carry, I guess. It has a back spacer. And two things I want to talk about before we close up here is it has a really, really sharp edge. Like, it came one of the sharpest knives out of the box with the most aggressive, sharp-feeling edge. It just bites nasty. So I got to give it to them there. They did a really good job on this. And the other thing that I want to talk about is the price. The price is over $100, but you're getting this VG10 Damascus, right? That doesn't bother me when you look at that, because this obviously adds price. But the plain VG10 version of this knife, same everything else, just VG10 pure instead of this Damascus layered stuff, is what, like $5 or $10 cheaper? It's still kind of over $100. That one feels like it should be more just in the full-on budget knife territory, or at least under $100. So weirdly enough, even though it's slightly more expensive, the only real one that I want to recommend of this version of this knife is this, with the Damascus, because you're getting something that normally adds value to a knife, and typically takes a knife into that, you know, $90 to $100 range anyway. The execution here is really, really good, and the quality of this knife, it's good. You have to want a small knife. It is pretty darn thin behind the edge, decently thin, but I mean, it's not super tall, so it does get it thick, but not that bad. It's not a super thick stock, not a super thick stock. You can actually see the coring, which is nice. Touch, I always like seeing that. But yeah, the more premium variant of this, which is basically what you're looking at here, is, in my opinion, the better one, because it actually feels like it's justifying its price. There is another alternative variant of this. Well, technically there's several alternative variants. There's a black and green G10 variant and a full black like this one. And then there's a carbon fiber handled one with wood inlays, I believe they are. That is going to be a much lighter knife, because this one obviously is stainless steel with, I mean, there is a pocket milled out for weight reduction on one side and the liner on the other side, but it's still going to be a pretty heavy knife overall for what the size of it. Not that it's particularly heavy in all honesty, but the carbon fiber variant will be much lighter, and the carbon fiber variant follows the same rule. There is a plain VG10, which is, in my opinion, overpriced, and then there is a Damascus VG10 that is more appropriately priced. Overall, it's a good knife. It's a very plain, sleek design, definitely sort of gentlemanly. The clip is a little bit strange on it with the angle, but I get why they did that for ergos. And it's a good piece. So the Diamici. We're done here. Summary complete. As I said, full review will be linked in the description, where I go into pricing and things a little bit more, and just overall specs. That'll finish it for me here. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.